Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I'm a union guy, so I say brothers and sisters. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I think there was supposed to be a video, but that's all right. John Hennessy is an old friend, and I want to give him a round of applause, him and Chairman Drew Guttine. I did a few conventions in my time, and they're never easy. First, I want to thank Marfine Chang. Where is he? That was a heck of a speech. I know he serves with my mom on the Charter Commission, and I agree with everything he says. I want to thank Governor Mills and Speaker Fecteau and President Jackson for their leadership. My name is Ben Waxman, and I am the proud co-owner of American Rootswear in Westbrook, Maine, with my wife, Whitney Waxman. I'm husband to the bravest woman I've ever known and person I've ever known, my business partner, and the mother of my children. I'm the father of 3 boys, 5, 2.5, and 8 months. I'd like to start with a little story, because I think we're all fired up on how we're going to win in November, that I think Mainers across this state can relate to. On my desk is a photo of my wife Whitney holding Arlo on March 17th in our factory. Don't worry, there's no tears or anything like that. What there is in Whitney's face, perseverance, courage, and resolve that sticks with me ever since that day when we pivoted our company to produce PPE. My wife is the co-founder, but she's a mom, she's the president of the company, and she's the chairwoman of the board. I wish she was here today, but she's home with our 3 kids, because one of them didn't want to sleep last night. On March 13th, Whitney got sick. I was flying back from Chicago. The country was shutting down. I was flying back from a friend's service, and I was desperately trying to get home. I called my wife from O'Hara, and in the next 30 seconds, it changed my life forever. She said I had a 104-degree fever. She was on the floor with our 4-month-old and our 2.5-year-old. I called then John Jennings, the city manager of Portland. I called our doctor, and I called our chief financial officer. I called our employees into the factory. We didn't know we were supposed to have masks on at that point. I announced that we were going to shut the factory down, and Whitney wasn't feeling well. Whitney didn't have COVID, but we shut the factory down that day, and we didn't know what was going to happen. That night in the living room, my wife and I watched the news like many of us. And we watched in horror across New York and New Jersey and Boston and Philadelphia and Los Angeles as nurses and doctors in the richest country in the world did not have PPE, and we had a president who was in denial that this was actually happening. She looked at me very calmly, because she's the quiet one, I'm the loud one, and said, "We're going to turn the damn lights on at that factory, and we're going to make PPE." That was a defining moment for all of us in our little company. To be honest, that photo gets me emotional. And to be honest, I'll never forget those early days of the second weekend in March. That same night, James Morin from Flowfold, another great Maine company, called me and said, "I think we can make face shields." We had 27 employees. They had about half that at the time. That Monday, we held a company-wide meeting. Our employees were masked, they were quiet, and they were scared. The streets of Westbrook, Maine were silent. The only thing open were gas stations and the grocery store. We asked our team, if we decided to transition to make PPE, would you come back to work? Now, I want you to think about our workforce, and I'm going to tell you who our workforce is. 74% of them are new Americans. We have 11 languages spoken. The country was being shut down, and in the midst of the most hate-filled presidency in the history of this country, where they were being demonized, put down, and kicked to the curb, our workers said, "We're going back in the factory." If that's not what Maine's all about, if that's not what America's all about, I don't know what is. We were in this together. And in that moment, Khalid, who actually left our company for a bigger job, which we're all proud of, stood up and said something I'll never forget. He said, "It's our duty as Americans to come back in this factory." This is a man who walked out of Baghdad with his family, is now a proud U.S. citizen, and proudly supported Governor Janet Mills. You don't get to tell me or my employees or our union what it means to be a Mainer, Mr. LePage, nor do you get to tell me, Mr. Trump, what it means to be an American, because when you were sitting in Florida, we were walking into a factory. It was the Steelworkers Union, IATSE 114, the Painters Union, the sheet metal workers that went day and night to make sure that the nurses and doctors on Maine Health and Eastern Maine had face shields and masks. Mr. LePage, you got something coming to you in November because Governor Mills was there when you were in Florida. Organized labor built this country. Working people built this country. You are starting to see amazing things happening across this country. From Maine Med, the nurses organizing, to Bates College, they deserve a round of applause. They deserve our support. From Amazon to Starbucks, the top 1%, you're going to pay your dues. We need to pass prevailing wages and collective bargainings. Every worker in this state deserves a right to join a union. Whether you're a logger, a fisherman, a teacher, a police officer, you name it, you deserve a union card in your back pocket. You can tell I get worked up about this. A little bit. And as my late boss and friend Rich Trumka, who passed away this past year, he said, if you're going to talk, you better talk with passion. You see, the story of our company is both a Maine story and an American story. I was born and raised in this state. I was born in the Mid-Coast and raised in Portland. I'm a proud Bulldog. They call Maine our team home for many reasons. It's because of our values. It's because we are neighbors. We live together. We believe everyone deserves a fair shot. The American dream can be real again, but you got to fight for it. You can't say we're going to lose in November because everybody on the news says we're going to lose. You got to fight. You want something, you got to fight. And our workforce fought on March 16, 2020. I'm asking everybody in this room to fight in November so that we have people who care about working people, who believe in science. We need to fight like hell for Janet Mills to keep this state moving forward. We need the support for President Jackson and Speaker Fecteau, who've done an unbelievable job. Because as we've seen in Washington, if you don't got the votes, it doesn't matter who's in the White House. As I walk the factory floor each day, I'm inspired by each and every one of our employees. They stuck with our company, and we stuck with them. The unions stood by us, and we've stood by them. When I go home at night, my biggest worries lie in what kind of state and country my three boys, Arlo, Wyatt, and Owen, will have. It is in one that does not care for working families? Is it one that uses race to promote fear and anxiety and division? Is it one that puts the needs of the few at the top ahead of the rest? I say no. I say no, not on my watch, not as long as I own a company that can make things, not as long as people like all of you are going to fight. And as Democrats, we say no, Mr. LePage, your time is up. Your 5 minutes of fame and hatred are up. Governor Mills is going back to the Blaine House. We need people who are going to fight like hell, people that are going to fight like hell to ensure that we are not Northern Maine or Southern Maine. We're one Maine. We are one Maine. We're one people with different views, and that's okay. We need people that are going to fight like hell to make sure that people like Paul LePage don't lose, but they stay away. And let me say something. Some of my best friends are Republicans. Some of my best friends are Democrats. And you know what? We all sit down and have good discussions, and we debate, and we have arguments. And you know what? At the end of the day, we agree to disagree. But the guy at the top running this fall, he doesn't understand that. We need to elect pro-worker candidates. We need to elect pro-science. We need to elect pro-environment. We need to elect pro-women. The fight for Roe v. Wade is real. Pro-inclusion and diversity is a real thing, and it takes work. I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for my mom, Dory Waxman, who taught me a lot of things. And I will say this, we got a lot of work to do, but it's because of all of you that we're going to win in November. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And from our workers at American Roots, thank you for supporting us. Let's elect good people in the fall. Fight for working people. Organize, unionize, keep going, keep fighting. Thank you.